I am ready for success. I am success. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am ready for success. And what you're listening to is my new song. Yes, James Lott Jr. Super Organizer has a song. And it's called I Am Ready. And it's been released everywhere today. You can find songs. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play. I think I'm missing something. SoundCloud. It's on SoundCloud. It's everywhere where James Lott Jr. is sold. Just find me. I'm there. And it's my song, I Am Ready. Very proud of that today. Motivational dance music, that's what I'm creating. And it's a whole long story how I got there, and I'm actually doing an album. That's a whole other story, but it's fun. Welcome to the Super Organizer Show with James Lott Jr., or as I call the SOS Show. We're here to help. I am James Lott Jr., and of course you can follow us on Facebook, on the SOS Show, on Twitter at the SOS_show, because someone took the SOS Show and they're not even using it. Makes me mad. And you can follow me at James Lott Jr. everywhere. Just type my name in, I just pop up. Not at your house, but I'll pop up on your screen, and then you can talk to me there. We're live from Pittsburgh. It's my second episode of Live from Pittsburgh while I'm here this trip. I've done a Live from Pittsburgh back in January. It was very popular, so I'm doing these live shows while I'm on the road. And when I say live, I do every show kind of live, but this was to be unedited. It's not going to be polished. It is, if a train goes by, you're going to hear the car open, doors open, it's going to hear it. But we're here to talk about Pittsburgh itself, and I have a great guest. I'm going to talk about her specialty too, and she's wonderful. She's from Pittsburgh, and she does decluttering due to grief, loss, transition, and physical disability. She's the author of the book Restore Order, Restore Joy. She did a session at NAPO conference we had here in Pittsburgh a few months ago. She's also with the chapter, NAPO chapter here in Pittsburgh. She's the program director. She has clearorganization.biz, and I'm just excited to have her on the show. She has a great name that's just made for this business, Miss Dorothy L. Clear. How are you?
I'm great, James. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So your name is perfect because clear clutter, clear your mind. Like your name is perfect for this business. Perfect.
Yeah, it was really a bit of serendipity when I met my husband 10 years ago, and we got married. And then I didn't start my business until just like 5.5 years ago. So I had the name before I had the business.
I love it. See, it was meant to be. I feel like the calling could come however it comes, and I think that was, you just didn't know yet, and it came to you, and it's put together. I love it.
It is a real conversation starter, I'll tell you that.
Yes. Now, what I always do on my shows, as long-time listeners know, I've been doing it for the last 2.5 years, I do my thanks and gratitude first before I even begin talking. Thanks and gratitude, I believe in giving thanks every day. I live in gratitude as much as I can. As you know, things can change in a second. You're not promised the next second or next minute. And so I like to say out loud what I live in gratitude for. And there's a few things I want to give shout-outs to. And it could be anything for you guys out there at home who are going to try this yourself. I suggest try this. It really does open up your life. I want to give thanks and gratitude to actually NAPO Pittsburgh chapter. They've been so wonderful talking to me and sending people my direction. And I hope to continue to showcase more locals like Dorothy and earlier Vicky, and have people on my show year-round. I mean, Pittsburgh is a great place there. I want to thank the city of Pittsburgh for always taking care of me while I'm here. Allegheny County, always great stuff there. Congratulations to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They came at the right week. They won the Stanley Cup, so it's kind of exciting to come home and have some fun going on in sports here. It's always great. I want to thank Bob Evans. Now, many of you guys know, fans of mine, know that I talk about Bob Evans all the time because they have the best breakfast on earth. Oh, my goodness. And I got to go yesterday. I just want to tell you, you haven't had real biscuits and gravy until you leave California and come to the Midwest where they actually make pork sausage gravy. That's the real gravy, folks. Not the gluten-free stuff, not the white stuff, whatever they do in California. This is real gravy. It stops your heart. It clogs your arteries. But it's so good going down. I mean, come on, Dorothy. Help me here. Tell me. It's so good.
Oh, I know. And have you had the, hash? My husband loves corned beef hash.
Yes, it's so good. I've had everything. I love Bob Evans. We don't have them in California, and I just love them so much. So I live in gratitude for them. And they took care of me there. The ladies there took care of me yesterday, and I had a great time. So I want to thank them. I want to thank my, I live in gratitude to my family that is here, who are holding it down here in Pittsburgh. And I also want to give thanks and gratitude to the art scene. The art scene is growing here in Pittsburgh. I've been in contact with some people on the art scene. As many of you know, I work in television in Hollywood. And they're also filming things here now. Television and film are coming to Pittsburgh. So I want to give some shout-outs to them, and then hopefully I get to work with them in the future on some projects too. So I want to bring more light to this city. And that's my thanks and gratitude for today. So Dorothy, so you've been in Pittsburgh, you say, your whole life?
Yes, I was born and raised in a small community called Bloomfield, which was primarily Italian and German. I lived there for 40 years, and I've lived in Oakland, which is another neighborhood in the city. And then about 10 years ago, I met my husband, and I moved about 24 miles north of the city in another county, Beaver County. We live in Conway. It's a beautiful small community.
I heard it's growing there. I heard it's growing in Beaver County. I heard it's really good. I heard there's good tax stuff going on in Beaver County. There's some good stuff about Beaver County.
Yeah, I think we're starting to experience a revitalization in Beaver County. We traditionally had an older population, but we have some new business coming in. We have a lot of changes going on. And I think in the next 5 years, you're going to see a lot of changes here in Beaver County.
That's very exciting. That's very exciting. I think it's just change is good and growth is good, and I always feel for the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic. I mean, there's this whole region, because there are cities that are literally just withering away, and there's no industry coming in, and once vibrant, beautiful towns are just drying up. And I hate to see that. And I always wonder how people get jobs, what do they do. So I'm glad to hear that this region is, and see it myself, it's growing. I love that.
If you're not familiar with Beaver County, it's just a small drive from Allegheny County, which is the city of Pittsburgh. We have a lot of great events going on out here that you should look up on the internet and take a ride out to Beaver County. It's beautiful. I want to.
That sounds good. Now this year, because you guys you're part of NAPO, you're program director, and you're at the Pittsburgh chapter. You had the conference here. Isn't that fun? It must have been a lot of fun.
We were so excited. I cannot tell you how excited our NAPO Pittsburgh chapter was to be the host city for the conference. First time ever.
Yes. I mean, because I was the one in L.A., and I remember and I live in L.A., of course, and I remember how excited they were. So you guys must have been just crazy. And that's my first conference I ever went to for NAPO, was one in L.A. a few years ago.
Yeah, I was there. I was the only person that came from our Pittsburgh chapter.
Well, if you saw a big, tall, black guy walking around, because there wasn't many guys around there, with a deep voice, that was me. Because people were like, I remember you. I'm like, well, you can't not remember, because I kind of stood out in front of everybody. So, yes, I kind of stood out.
Oh, that hotel was a little bizarre to navigate with all those, cylinder columns.
Oh, yes, the Western Bonaventure. Yes, it's very much. Yes, very much.
Come on.
But it was a wonderful conference.
One elevator down the other. It was nuts. But
yes.
I had some very interesting elevator rides during that conference.
That conference was so. I met Matt Paxton, who was known for Hoarders. I met him at the exhibit hall. We talked for like half an hour. It was great. I met a lot of people there. It was a lot of fun. And I was telling somebody, I was high the whole time. It was a natural high, just being around like-minded people who love to talk about organizing. I can talk about organizing all the time.
That way at conference.
Is that great?
Yeah, I've been going since 2012.
Wow. So yeah, so you know the feeling then. When I say when you walk around, you're just like, everyone's talking about products and this and changes and rules and things. I love talking about organizing, and I love talking about the passion behind it, and everybody find their call, your stories, and commiserating over clients. I mean, I love the whole. And the classes were great that year that I went to. They were great, and I learned a lot. And it was such a for me, because we don't have that office anymore. We are the office. We're out on our own in the trenches doing work. We finally got to be able to come together with people who actually do what you do. It was amazing.
Yeah, can I tell you a quick story of my first experience with conference?
Please do.
I had just started my business in September September 2011, and I joined NAPO National, but I did not join the Pittsburgh chapter because money was tight. I was a new business owner.
Yeah.
But I was able to get the money together to go to conference in, I think it was April 2012. It was down in Maryland, so I drove down there all by myself.
Wow.
It was at the Maryland conference that I met the entire Pittsburgh chapter.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And they just immediately took me into the fold and said, you have to come to our May meeting, which I did. Got home from conference, decided I was going to go to their May meeting. I would make it work somehow financially. And let me tell you, it was the best decision of my career because they have been my major support system since I started the business. And I really credit them with a lot of my own business growth. I mean, I can't believe in 5 years what I've been able to accomplish, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Pittsburgh NAPO chapter. They have been my mentors, my teachers. Going to conference, I have met people like Matt Paxton, and that eventually led down the road to being part of one of his episodes on the TV show Hoarders when they came to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They came to be referrals, actually.
Wow.
It's just, I can't say enough about NAPO and our Pittsburgh chapter. I think we have one of the best chapters in the trade association.
And you become the program director.
Yes. When I went to that first May meeting, I volunteered to be their marketing director because they didn't have one. And I always believe that volunteering, and you hear this a lot from Ellen Fay, our immediate past.
I love Miss Ellen. Yes, I do.
No, I listened to your podcast with her. It was awesome.
Thank you.
But I believe volunteering really gives you a lot of exposure to people and leadership skills, and it really enabled me to meet a lot of the veteran organizers in our area and get to talk to them and see if get their advice. Am I on the right track? Am I doing this right? Should I be doing that and not this? And they were just so humbly, gratefully generous with all their advice.
You know, it's funny. You know, for me, I didn't join NAPO until years. I mean, I've been in business for like 10 years, and now I've morphed more into the media side of things and training. I don't do as much actual organizing anymore. I have a couple of clients I've kept long term, so I get my hands in there. I love organizing. I love doing it, but just other opportunities have come out where I can showcase other organizers, which I love doing that too, like yourself. I didn't join NAPO for a long time, and I told this to Ellen when she contacted. And I give Ellen Fay a lot of credit because she reached out to me. Like I said, I've been in business for at this point 8-9 years. At this point, she contacted me and asked me why. And I joined NAPO about, I can't remember now at this point, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I mean, halfway into my business, I joined it. But I didn't join it at first because some people that I actually met through NAPO were actually not nice to me. And it was really funny. I don't know what was going on. I just met the wrong people. But I like the feeling of being part of something larger that has a like-mindedness like myself. And I always look for groups like that. So when you said they really helped you and they're a mentor, I was looking for that too on some level. And it just didn't happen for me at first. But then I met someone else and I joined it. Because it puts it as a name, as prestige, as a name, when I joined it. But it wasn't until Ellen this year and later Regina Lark, who was great, the LA chapter, and
I know Regina.
I love her. I just love her. They all contacted me, and I was very honest with them. I told them, I said, I didn't have a great experience at first because some business groups that I've tried to join before, they were so uppity and so just like whatever. And so I would say no, never mind, because I don't want to be around people that I don't have to be around anymore. But I found with NAPO, since I've had the better experiences, like I say, going to the conference in 2015, and people like Ellen and Regina and Leslie Greenberg Joselle and all these people who are just wonderful, and Chris Wheatington, who've all been on my shows. It's been the most glorious experience since then. So I don't know what happened early on, but NAPO knows I'm completely behind them, now, and I'm so appreciative of their support of my show and what I do here. It's just been amazing. And so you're right. It's for folks out there who are listening, who are in industry, who haven't joined them. seek them out. See if they are for you. Right? I would say it's up to you. You're grown up. It's up to you. But I think there are really good benefits to being a part of this organization, and they're worldwide. They're countrywide. There's probably a chapter near you somewhere, right, Dorothy? I'm sure there's one somewhere near you. I'm sure at this point.
And there's always the virtual chapter too. If you're too far away from a local chapter, you can join the virtual chapter.
Very true. They have a website full of stuff and classes and certifications, and and like you said, it just supports. Yeah, I think it's just, I just kind of want to get that out there, and I'm just like, it's because you said that, how they've helped you so much. I'm seeing the help for me too now. I'm seeing it now as I morph into kind of the business of organizing. It's been they've been a great friendship. I guess the best way I can put it. It's been a great friendship. So I love that.
Well, they are the thought leaders of our industry, and they're the people that I look up to and that I emulate. I want to be like them. Mm-hmm. And so I follow what they do, and I do what they do, and I've had a lot of success from that. After being the NAPO marketing director, I was their secretary. I was marketing director for 2 years. I was secretary for 1 year. Then I became the president of the chapter for 2 years, and now I'm the professional development director.
Wow.
And I just love being of service to this industry that has given me so much of my education and my confidence as a certified professional organizer.
I completely in full agreement with you. I love giving back also, and we're doing God's work. We're doing God. I say it all the time. We are out there affecting change in the world. One person at a time, one business at a time, whatever it is, we are out there serving. We're there to help people live the best lives they can. I say it all the time on my show, and my listeners know that I just feel it so heavily. It's a calling. It's a calling for me. I was called to do it in my 40s. I mean, I had no idea there was no business. I didn't know you could make money off of it. I had no idea, and now my calling has even gotten stronger as I merge my media world with my organizing world together. And I like you, I'm always trying to, how can I showcase somebody? I mean, that's why I said I'm in Pittsburgh. I want to talk to local Pittsburgh organizers. I want to highlight them, because there's no competition. We're all in this together, right?
And you've had some great ones so far. Vicki, I mean, she is
fantastic.
A thought leader here in Pittsburgh.
She's fantastic. Wait till you hear our interview. It's really good. I mean,
I can't wait to listen to it.
It's really good, and you guys are doing you're out there, you're making change happen, you're affecting lives, and that's my calling, is that it's not all about James Lott Jr., it's about everyone in our industries. I love this industry. I love it. I admired people who knew what their callings were when they were younger, and they just I was in the medical field, and I was in other fields, and those people would just devour all the information they could. They were so happy. Now I get it. Now I totally get it.
I have to agree with you. I mean, I found my passion for organizing at the age of 50.
Okay.
Who would have thought?
Right.
That I would start my own business at that age.
Right. And I thought I was having problems. I was 40 something. I was like, wow, how do you find your new life at 40 something? But that's the truth. It just doesn't matter. The age doesn't matter on any level when it comes to living your best life. It could be at any time. Correct?
Right. And I do think of this more as a vocation than a career, because I do really impact people's lives.
You do.
And that is amazing.
I know you do. I mean, we do, but I know you do, and I think it's something that we should, and I tell organizers all the time, and I say it a lot on my shows, do not undervalue yourself. Do not undervalue what you do, and what you're doing is important stuff, and it's necessary. We're one of the few fields out there that everyone can use in some form or another, and there are many niches out there that are to be filled. I mean, you could be older people, younger people, kids, adults. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's across the board. Entrepreneurs, single moms, doesn't matter. They can all use our expertise and our help in working with them to have their best organized, time-managed life. Correct?
Right. And now fast forward 5.5 years since I started my business. I'm a CPO. I'm a 5-year Golden Circle member. I've written a book. Yes. I have a specialty, And because of all that, I'm able to give back to other people who are now coming into the industry. I do a lot of one-on-one talking and mentoring with people that are new to the industry or want to find out more about professional organizing. And I just love that aspect of being able to give back. Yesterday, I sat through our local job center has an entrepreneurial program.
Okay.
And I took that when I started my business, and so they invite me back a lot as an alumni to speak or to sit on panels, and I did one yesterday, and 4 people presented their business plan to us, a panel of 4 business owners or in the community, and 2 of them really talked about their passion for what they're doing, and I know that those are the 2 people that are really going to have successes because they are following their passion.
I've seen,
And I love
go ahead.
them a little bit of advice from my past 5 years. I mean, that's wonderful. This past year at the conference, now I started out in 2012 going to my first conference in Maryland. I was scared to drive there by myself, and I was in tears over the Maryland traffic.
Yes, yes, yes.
The conference here in Pennsylvania, I'm a session host, I'm a speaker, I'm a CPO, I'm an exhibitor with my book. I mean, that is just like a dream come true. And it's all because of the support I have within this industry.
And isn't that funny? It's one of those things where you never...
So having a relationship with God and an attitude of gratitude will really help you go far in life.
Well, you know that's me. I do both of. I have both of those, and I say in my show all the time. And I'm one of those people who I made my. This is the truth, people. Okay, I have a large fan base listens to the show, a varied fan base. There's a show. And some people who are not in the industry. I always say this: when you make your intentions known and you're very clear about them, and you just stay in your lane, good stuff happens. It's not a joke. Like it really. You know, Oprah has said that for years. People have said it for years, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I believe it. I can actually tell you, Dorothy and I are people who came from where we came from, and now we're doing amazing things. And it's not, and we're not the only ones who can just, anybody can do it. It's just kind of having the belief system, and doing the hard work to get there. You know,
exactly.
And you're doing it. And I trust me, there's times I weep, because I'm just excited because I have a radio show. I'm on television in Hollywood. I mean, I came on and says, I'm a grandfather of 3, 50-something-year-old guy who just kind of, came to Hollywood. Was like, hi, I'm James Lott Jr. And they're like, who are you? And I've done so much, since then. This radio show is almost 3 years old. I'm very proud of this radio show. And this came out of a blog. Yeah, this came out of a blog. I had a blog, and somebody at a radio station said, you want to have a show? And that's how it started. And that's a dream. I've always wanted to be on radio. I love radio, and I've always wanted to be on radio, and I've always wanted to podcast and stuff like that. And I didn't know how to start, and they gave me a start. So Adrenaline Radio, I give you tons of props because
I write a book, but I did it.
You write a book, and okay. Don't ask about that because I'm an author. I don't have any organizing books out yet. I'm working on those. I have other books out.
I read books on Amazon.
Yes, I have other books. I have more coming out, and those are actually becoming very successful too. It's really bizarre, but you doing a book. I want to read your book. I want to get your book and read it. I do want to read it. Did it feel like you birthed a baby? I mean, how did it feel for you? Was it scary to kind of put a book out there of your thoughts and ideas, or were you just excited to get it out? I mean, how was your feeling about Restore Order, Restore Joy, releasing that?
Well, have you ever heard of the term God shot?
Yes.
Okay, so I think it was a God shot. It was another passion that I came up with that motivated me to do it. I was about 2 years into my career as a professional organizer, and I started to notice how many of my clients have experienced grief that kind of led up to this accumulation of clutter.
Yes.
So I started interviewing some of my clients as this was, a part of their experience. And then I kind of equated it with my experience with losing my father. I was 33 years old.
Wow.
And my father died at age 58.
Wow.
And I really didn't know how to handle that. I had lost like grandparents and great-grandparents, but never somebody so close to me. And I really in my mid-30s did not know how to handle that level of grief and didn't really understand the different types of grief that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And started researching that, and I kind of put two and two together, and I thought, well, you know, my grief took me down a path of really heavy drinking for 2 years until the point where I had to admit that I had a problem with my drinking, and I got help for it.
Wow. And
I can see that other people's grief might take them down the road of acquiring or shopping.
Yes.
Or just plain giving up and not picking up after themselves anymore. I mean, you have a lot to deal with when somebody dies.
Yes.
You have chores to get through, a funeral home, and finances, and especially if you have kids to take care of at the same time.
Yes.
And it's just, you have to let some things go because you mentally can't handle everything.
Correct.
So I understand that. I know where that path of grief, if it's not addressed properly, can lead you. And so I wanted this book to be motivational, inspirational, and a little bit educational, too, from the organizational standpoint, to help people know that they can pick up their life and carry on again.
Wow.
You know, it's okay if you get stuck, but there comes a day where you have to say, I'm stuck, and I don't know how to get unstuck, and I need to ask somebody to help me.
Yeah.
And then you pick up the tools that you have and the help that's offered, and you move forward. And that's what I had to do with my life, and I see that I'm a small part of that in other people's lives too.
It's funny. I lost my brother Max 10 months ago, and so you talk about losing grandparents. Not saying nothing is not hard or anything, but losing people that you love that's maybe a little older or whatever. It's a different kind of grief. And losing my brother, who was only a year older than I was, to a sudden heart attack, it changed my life completely. My life completely is before Max, after Max at this point. It's still very raw for me. But even myself...
Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear about your brother's loss. It does really change your whole attitude and outlook on life.
It really does. And you said something that just... I want to bring this up to people out there because my fan base knows I'm very real with you guys. And I haven't really talked about this. It's funny you bring this out. I mean, I'm the interviewer and I'm bringing this out of me, Dorothy. Thank you. For that, when he died, I was the one who found out. So I had to tell my family. So it was so for me, I had a big burden on me just dealing with all of that. Because usually I was the one who was told someone died and I had to react. But I had to actually react and then tell other people and have them react. So it was a rough few days of doing that stuff. You know, telling my mom and telling my brother it was his birthday. You know, it was a whole weird thing. After that, I took a hike. You know, meanwhile, I'm on television. I have television shows. So I'm on television. I'm doing the radio show. I stopped everything. I made the announcement my brother died. I stopped everything, and I took 3 months off this year. And it was fun. The first month, I didn't get out of bed, basically. And you're right. It was one of those things where I just didn't care about organizing because I'm a very organized person. My house is all together. I didn't care about the papers, the bills coming. In a healing sort of way, it helps me with my clients who I talk to now because, like you said, now I know what it feels like to go through that. So now I have a personal experience to attach to someone else's personal experience when it comes to just not cleaning up or going shopping. For a while, I did buy a few things because I just felt like I'll just buy because I want it right now. Who cares? I'll eat at an expensive restaurant. I felt like there was no rhyme or reason. I was just hurting. And
we want to try to avoid those bad feelings.
Yes.
So we substitute something for that. For me, it was drinking. For other people, it might be shopping.
Right. And you think it feels good at the moment. You're like, I can buy what I want. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this. Go ahead. Not be a priority for you after such a sudden loss. Right. You know, who cares about money and credit cards? Okay, I mean, you don't live. You start feeling all these things like, well, I can't. You know, I may not live tomorrow either. You're younger than he is, and my health isn't great. I mean, you start thinking all these things. You start telling yourself all this stuff. The white noise, the chatter, it all starts to happen in your brain. And you immortality. Yeah. And it's so it's funny you brought that up. Now I really got to read your book and see what's going on because I just think it's just really interesting that even I, as an organized person, went through it too. I have come out of it on the other side. I'm still dealing with the loss. I mean, it hurts every day. But I am now. I'm able to go back on television. I'm able to go back to my radio shows. I don't do those destructive behaviors anymore. I have a spiritual advisor I talk to. So I mean, I'm getting help for it, of course, too, because that's always very important. Get help. You can't do everything yourself. But when you said that, it struck a chord with me. I really should have anybody before. It's kind of funny. I went through a whole period of just like, I don't care. Who cares? So I was eating healthy before he died. Oh, who cares? He used to work out every day. He was a bodybuilder, and he died. So why should I care if I work out? And all the things you tell yourself. But my house got really messy, and it wasn't until January this year, because he died in August. In January, I finally went in, and it felt so good to clean out my own, to organize my own house. It felt so good. Oh my God, it felt so good to go in. I was like,
and you have that empathy now, where you can see where somebody wakes up 2 years after a loss and says, "Oh my gosh, how did my place get like this?"
Yes.
I start. What do I do?
Oh my God, Dorothy, there was a point where I went into I had a couple of bins that I thought I had gone through. I guess I hadn't, and I was going through them, going, "Why did I save this? Why did I save that?" Like, it was related to him. When we used to go to that restaurant all the time, but those menus didn't mean anything. They weren't like special menus or anything. You get what I mean? It's like, but I was holding on at the time. I decided I'll hold on to them. That was always to go here. I mean, it was like while I was holding on to stuff, it felt so good to say goodbye to it. It felt so good to pass it on to other people. It felt so good to get it out of my house. And so I'm still going through stuff. I mean, I found a letter the other day that just made me cry like a baby. It's like, but like that's fine. Like I'm always going to find stuff. We're talking 50 years of life basically, and I'm going to still find things of his, I'm sure. But I do understand when you wake up one day and you're like, how did I get that couch? I can't see the couch anymore. There's stuff all over it. Like, how did that happen? I've never been like that before. Like, what? I mean, I guess I stayed in bed all the time. I never sat on the couch. So I threw stuff on the couch and said, I'll get to it later. And it was like, and it totally happens.
And later never comes.
And never comes. It never comes. So it felt so good. So yes, so now I have empathy for people. I can actually say, yes, now I know exactly how that can happen to you and why it happened to you on some level. So now let's work this out, because I can put myself in your shoes. I've been in your shoes a little bit, so I can kind of, everybody's grief is different, of course, but I can say at least with that I know what that feels like when the clutter starts to happen.
You have a better understanding of the level of sentimentality that people might have if they've lost a loved one, and so you can help them through the decision-making processes on how much sentimental value something has versus monetary value. And even though everything has a sentimental level attached to it, maybe they don't have to keep every single thing that reminds them of their loved one. Maybe they can be more discerning about what's really important. I had a woman who kept a bottle of water because it was in the room where her brother died.
Well,
but it's just a bottle of water. So
right.
In the room when my brother died, I said, well, that's fine if you see your brother in that bottle of water, but I'm sure that you have a lot of other memories for him. And every time you walk in the room and see that bottle of water, it reminds you of a very bad time in your life.
Yeah.
So you're reliving that every time you see that bottle.
That part's true.
It's up to her. And then eventually she did make the decision to dispose of the bottle. But it's just in having those conversations that you can maybe open somebody's mind to possibilities of change.
Well, I had an organizer help me with pictures. I found back when you used to take pictures and get them developed, I'm finding these pictures of me and my brother, and some of them were duplicates. I used to order duplicates or triplicates or whatever of them, and I don't need 5 of the same picture of me and my brother, right? So she was like, why don't you send them off to people that you know loved him? They would like that.
Yes.
Put it in a card. I was like, great idea. Like, seriously, a great idea. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was the way she talked to me. It was like, it made sense. Like, okay, got it. I don't need 10 pictures of the same picture. I mean, at least if I have one, that's good. And trust me, folks, photos, papers, all that stuff, too much of it, you think it's small stuff, it adds up. and takes up a lot of space. And when you clear out half the photos, you gain more. You gain more of half the space. It's very fascinating. It's fascinating.
I worked with a woman who lost her adult daughter, and we were downsizing her house so that she could move into a smaller location. And she could not even look at pictures. Everything just went in a box. She said, I will deal with that later. I'm not ready to deal with it. And so you have to respect that.
Yes.
No matter how many years it's been since her daughter passed away, if she's not ready to deal with that, don't force people to face things.
You can't. I'm glad you said that. You can't put a time.
And downsize.
Yes. You can't do it. You can't put a time limit.
What we did. We found a way to organize the pictures where she didn't have to look at them right now, but they would be protected and they would be stored, and she could deal with that in her own time.
It's very important. You don't put time limit on somebody's grief.
No.
You can't. You just can't do it. You just can't. You may feel like you can. You can't do that. So I'm glad you just said that. And so you found a way to organize. It was a doable situation. You're able to find a way to organize those pictures somewhere where she can have them still stored, correct, and then you get to them later.
Right.
Yeah, you find a way to do that. And that's the thing about organizers. It's all a puzzle. We're all trying to figure out which pieces work and fit and how they can fit. And I tell people all the time, we just don't throw out everything. That's not the solution. Throwing out everything is not the solution. That's not. We got to talk about why and how you are holding on to this stuff, and then deal with each piece. How not just throw it all out. We'll see you later. Then you go out and buy more stuff. That doesn't solve anything, correct?
Yeah, and I really try to caution family members too who want to be helpful not to just throw out their parents' stuff or whoever they're working with, a neighbor or a friend. Don't just throw things out. You wouldn't want somebody to do that to you.
Right.
It's not fair that you would do that to them. What we're there to do as professional organizers is help them through that decision-making process on what to keep, what's going to be a resource for them in the future, and to get rid of the things that are holding them back.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now, how do you, because you deal with grief and loss and transition, and the grief loss part is something I'm really fascinated with because it's a serious subject. So how do you navigate yourself through this subject with your clients? I mean, how do you, for yourself, are you able to keep it together, or do you keep it together? Do you feel emotions with them? I mean, how do you handle it?
Well, I think there's with any type of profession that you're dealing with some emotion, you have to take care of yourself as well. So I have people that I can talk to if I'm starting to feel a little squirrely, if I'm letting things get to me. But self-care is very important. I have to make sure that I get enough sleep, I get enough nutrition, I get enough exercise. I have people I can talk to if I need to. So self-care, I think, is ultimately important. I do have empathy for my clients. If they ever needed to take a break, we take a break. If they need to end a session early, I give them the flexibility to do that as well. And I encourage them to do a lot of self-care too. And it's good that, I know a little bit of something about grief now and the different kinds of grief, and I can explain that to them so that they don't feel alone in their grief process.
What was the session you taught this past conference?
It was called Empower the Grieving Client to Organize with Joy, because there are so many negative emotions. People don't want to turn on lights. They don't want to laugh and be joyful because they're still, part of that grief is still being carried around with them. Yeah. So it's a way to educate other professional organizers to say, if you are working with a grieving client, here's some ways to make it easier on you and on them.
Well, I like that. Because it is, like I said, it's a serious subject, but there can be joy in there. And I've had clients, because I used to work with a lot of clients who are older. I always say do life change, and some of it was widowhood. And sometimes it was fun stuff. I would hear fun stories. We'd go through something and it would bring up a funny story. Oh my God, we got this teacup set. We only had 2 dimes rubbed together. You'd hear some fun stuff too, and it can be fun. And it can be something that's rewarding for them And I did find that, and so like you have to restore joy. That is literally what you have to do. You have to find a way to restore order, restore joy. I mean, what a great title of your book. It's it's exactly what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, when I rebranded a few years ago and I chose this specialty, that is the tagline for my business. And when I started the book, my book editor, I was having a hard time coming up with a title, and she said, I think you already have one. And she suggested that I use my tagline for my business for the book, and it was a great suggestion.
Wow. Here's the thing. I always spend all the time, when I'm an organizer, I work with my clients. I understand I work for them or work at them. We work together. Isn't it great when you find people who just are great, they give you great ideas? Like the learning doesn't stop. Isn't that great?
Yeah, my editor was actually one of my clients, and I found out that she had authored a book of her own and ghost-written several books for someone else. And I said to her, that is awesome. I'm thinking about writing a book. Would you be my editor? And she agreed. And it was just like another one of those God shots or coincidences or, just serendipity.
There are no coincidences. I don't believe that at all. None. No coincidence. There's no luck. But I do always have a saying that luck favors the prepared. I always say that. I like that saying. Just meaning that you just do work. There's no luck. You do work. Opportunities come your direction, and you're ready for them. And coincidence, I just feel like there is. I just feel like things are happening for a reason. You're led a certain direction. You meet somebody on purpose. It's like it's all purposeful to me. I
even suggest that in my book that I believe things always happen for a reason. And sometimes people come in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And she was just in my life for that season.
I believe that too. It was hard to accept that for a while because you try to hold on to certain people and you want them, and I don't understand why they're not why our friendship is still working or working. I mean, I've had a couple of partners work wise that I had to drop too. And you're just like, but no, it was so good in the beginning. It was like you're fighting it, trying to hold on. Same thing with organizing. I find the same allegory with that. It's like you find a hold of stuff. For whatever reason, you want to hold on to it. It's like you don't need to hold on to it. You got to let it go. And friendships and stuff, sometimes they have to go. Partnerships, they have to go. Marriages, whatever, they have to go. They're done. They are done. And you have to find a way to find what positive outcome out of those that you can take with you. And usually you can. If you live long enough, right, everything's a lesson.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I worked with one woman, and you brought up something earlier that wanted me to share this with you. I worked with another woman who lost her adult daughter, and as we were decluttering, we came across a letter that her daughter had written to her.
Oh, wow.
And she just burst out in tears. And so I sat down with her, and I said, do you want to read the letter? And I let them take the lead on things. Like, do you need a moment alone, or would you like to read the letter together? Tell me a little bit about your daughter, or, tell me about this event in your life. And it really makes them feel they're bonded with you.
Yes.
And that you understand where they're coming from, and that you're taking the time to listen to them. And it puts them more at ease. And I think it helps them along the decision-making process, which can be a long one in some cases.
Well, isn't in this situation, and a lot of the work you do, grief, loss, transition, physical disability, isn't a lot of it for you to have patience, the way you speak to them? Is that all basically what kind of comes down to in terms of actually helping them?
It has to do a lot with patience. People in grief will get sick more often, so they may cancel appointments with you. And you just have to realize that that's part of their grieving process, so you have to be patient in that area too. You have to be patient with their stamina might not be that good. So we always start out with maybe just a 2-hour session. And then if we can build on that and make the sessions a little longer, 3 hours, 4 hours. But sometimes their stamina and energy just isn't there. So you have to be patient with that process as well.
Good point.
And it's emotionally and stressful for the brain to make all those decisions in a 2-hour period. So, there may be times where they say, oh, I have a headache, I have to go lay down. well, would you like me to continue organizing, or would you like me to leave? You know, and you can have some policies in place to guard yourself against some of these too. I have a cancellation policy in place.
Okay.
Like that. So
I was going to ask you that. So yeah, I'm sure you can set things up. But yeah, you bring some good points I thought of for you. People get tired, they get sick. Things. I mean, something outside of, you know, we could be still dealing with things that are going on with the death. Like it could be monetary issues happening, or family stuff happening, or, you know, property, and so they may cancel last minute, going, you know, I got to deal with this thing. You know, there's a lot of things that happen that just kind of
the death of a loved one is not the only kind of grief there is. I mean, there's a lot of grief associated with divorce and separation.
Yes. Oh,
relocating
definitely.
From one area to another, there's a lot of stress and grief there.
Oh my God, completely. Oh, completely. Especially if you leave for a job, you're going somewhere you're not really that happy with. You loved where you were living, you loved your house, but you're going because so-and-so got jobs in San Antonio, so you got to go say that. I'm sure there's a lot of push and pull going on in your brain, and you have to deal with that. But at the same time, you got to get to the hand of packing and down something. You got to get to business, but also emotionally, you're completely distraught and stressed out. I'm sure.
Yeah, you're leaving your support system, your comfort zone.
Right. And so yeah, there's a lot.
If you have kids, they're transitioning, and that's a hardship on the family.
Oh my God! Well, then also let's talk about it a little bit. You know, I have grown daughters, and I always laugh. And I say the joke is, the urban legend is, when your kids turn 18, you're done. That's not true. You guys know that. Not true at all. And I got grandchildren too, and it's not true. I'll be having kids around me all the time.
That sounds like people without children would say.
They would say, "Oh, you know, when you turn 18, aren't you done?" I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I believed it for a while, Dorothy, and then when each kid turned 18, like it didn't change really. But they both went off to college. But that's my whole thing. There is that first empty nester stuff, which can bring a lot of grief to parents when the kids become adults and either go off to to armed forces or go off to college somewhere else, another city or another state. There's a lot of grief there too, isn't there? That's transition.
Especially stay-at-home moms.
Yes.
That has been the center of their life for so many years. Now what do I do? What do I like? What do I enjoy? How do I want to spend my time?
Mm-hmm. Very true. He's like, what do I do? I mean, I know I've had people, I've with women that I have helped transition back into the workforce. I used to do some trainings on, because I used to be an HR person. I used to do trainings on resume writing and how you dress and all this kind of stuff. And many of them were like, yeah, I mean, for the last 20, 25, 30 years, I basically just raised children. And I always say, first of all, there's no basically just raise children, first of all. And that's a job itself. You were a mom, you were a momager, you were a house manager, you were all these things. So first of all, let's get to the point that you are somebody who's valuable in the workforce. But number two, I do understand what you mean. That your focus was the soccer games, the baseball games, the food, okay, the health stuff. I mean, you really are when you have kids. I mean, literally, that's most of your focus. So you're just busy doing that. Now that that's not your heavy focus anymore, I guess you can get lost in that somewhere and go, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? You know, now it's me. So that must be a tough. It can be tough, also, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then there are our colleagues who deal with senior downsizing, and they may be leaving a home that they spent 50 years in.
Yeah.
You know, and they have to downsize maybe 2/3 of their possessions to fit into their new location. That's stressful. That's a loss. You're saying goodbye to a lot of things. And if you have, say, a physical handicap or a physical disability, a sudden illness or injury that changes your life or changes your lifestyle, that can bring on grief as well.
Good point, because that is something I tell all the time. You're healthy right now, but you never know. One thing could change everything for you. If you get a diagnosis of something, then it depends on, they look at your house, look at your space you live in. Is this conducive to what is going on with you? I know people who get early stage dementia, and sometimes they can't walk without a cane or a walker. So you gotta make sure that has the house clear out enough you can actually have a walker go through the house. And are the rugs secure on the floor? Is it too much clutter on? There's too many knickknacks. There's a lot of stuff you have to think about when it comes to illness and treatment and how your space is while you're living through it. I agree with that.
Yeah, and as professional organizers and senior mood managers, we have to be conscious of are our clients safe in their home? Can they safely age in place if they don't want to move?
Right.
So that's the aspect of organizing that I think some people don't consider. Not people in our industry, but people that don't understand our industry.
Right. Well, you know what? You know, it's funny. We're still a young industry, which is it's just so funny because, like I said, even when I came in, I don't know about you, 10 years ago, I know there was an industry. I just didn't know that. I mean, I'd seen Clean House on television, and I think Hoarders had just started or whatever. But like, I didn't get there was an actual industry called the National Association. The professional organizers had a career. But it's a very much a career, and I think we're like 35 years in this. We're getting more and more attention. Hopefully, I'm part of that reason. But we're getting more attention, and I think people need to understand we're not an elective service. We're not somebody. We are just as important as the garbage men and housekeepers and gardeners and landscapers and doctors and teachers and lawyers. We're just as important, right?
I tell my clients sometimes, you would not try to take out your own tooth,
no.
Or you wouldn't try to, change your exhaust system on your car. You'd get a professional to do those things for you. And if you don't have organizing skills, then you may want to reach out to a professional organizer and have them walk you through that process.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that you're just less than because you couldn't figure it out yourself. It's you're getting help by somebody who's professional can help streamline your life. It's not about the lack of something. It's more of like you're going to gain something. I talk about that all the time. It's something you're going to gain. Having a professional organizer assisting you will gain so much stuff out of it.
Yeah, I do a lot of public speaking, and part of that is to educate the public on what professional organizers do and what we don't do. And also tell them that there are so many different reasons out there why somebody might have disorganization. It could be that they had poor role models, or they never learned these skills, or they simply don't have time to do it on their own if they're busy executives. It could be physical limitations. It could be mental health issues. There are so many reasons why. And so I think as part of my job, I like to find out, well, what's the root cause behind that? Because if I can keep that in the forefront or, keep that in mind, then I can help them declutter better.
And here's the thing, folks. On her website, she has a thing called 6 Benefits of Organizing. Check that out. And just kind of just one basic thing. It was like, why you should be organized. My page, too, my blog, I talk about the benefits of being organized, too. I think there's just so many benefits that it's irrefutable. Everything that we bring up and we talk about, this stuff really does work. It really is for real. It's just not somebody's opinion. It's this stuff. Really, what organizers do is they really do help you get organized so you can manage your time in a way that works for you, and life can run a little smoother. And so you can live in a space that's your safe haven. It's just so important.
Yeah, it really does reduce the stress level in your life. And people are, psychologists and psychiatrists are out there now, mental health facilities doing surveys and studies on the benefits of organization. I just read something through LinkedIn, through Psychology Today. I follow maybe it was their Twitter account. And a lot of great articles on the research they've done for the benefits of organization.
I believe it. And it's funny because I'm also a certified life coach. So it's kind of like we're siblings industries. And it was funny. It's like I have divorce coaching background in that, and the ABA has recognized divorce coaches as a viable source to help the clients out, not for legal advice, but just to handle all the smaller details of the emotional stuff, because when you hire a lawyer, it's very expensive. And those billable hours are very expensive. When you're going through divorce, it just adds up, and sometimes the lawyers don't want to deal with the small backbiting, whatever. I want the house, I want the car, whatever. So they found that divorce coaches who actually come in actually help handle that stuff. So when they come to an arbitration or a mediation, it's kind of worked out. And it's also cheaper to get a life coach in some ways than it is to get a lawyer. I feel like organizers, it's the same thing. We're here to help you even in larger senses and larger roles in your life. That's what we're here for. We're here to assist.
Yes, and we have to know our role. I mean, I am not any kind of grief counselor.
Right.
But I can recommend if somebody maybe needs some outside help, here are some grief counselors that I know that you might want to talk to. Or if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, here are some people that I know in that industry that might be able to help you. I tell people I'm not a therapist, I'm just a professional organizer.
Right, so yes.
Superpower is observation, and if I notice something about somebody, I may candidly or, delicately try to point out that, it might be time to seek some outside help for some of these things.
No, I like that you said that. I've always been all the time, because I have people who've hired me, and then, I don't know if I can afford you right now. I'll need to take a break. And then 6 months later, they call me back, and we're like, can you come back? I'm like, sure. And then they'll reveal to me they hired a housekeeper. And they're like, oh, the house was clean, but they couldn't organize. And I said, those are two different professions. And some people can do both. There are people who can do both. I can certainly do both if I really wanted to. I can clean a house really well. But I said, but there are people you need. I said, don't try to cut corners. Hire a person who's specialized in what you need. And I like you said it. Some people, their profession is, I'm a housekeeper. I clean a house. And organizers, I'm not here to diagnose you in terms of and prescribe you medication. I'm here to help you organize your home. That's what my job is. So I like that it's very, as your last name, very clear. Make very clear who you are in terms of your professional life. I love that.
I just have a soft spot in my heart for anybody who's gone through that grieving process, because I know what an impact that made on my life and how it kind of changed the direction of my life once I got help, and all the things that I've been able to accomplish since then. And I want to be able to give other people hope to do the same thing. Me too.
Like I said, we're not holding the key or the secret. It's like we're here. We're people who have gone for our dreams and have said yes to things and have been open to God and the universe and said, okay, show me what you got. And I seem like, Dorothy, you're the kind of person you're like, okay, show what you got. And you're like, okay, let's do it. And I think you're doing amazing stuff. You're just our show is basically over. It's been an hour, which I can't believe it's been an hour. And
I know. Thank you so much for having me, James. I'm so happy to be a part of you spreading the word about our profession.
Thank you. Like I said, I love our profession, and again, you're doing amazing stuff, and you're an amazing person. And I met you in person. One day I hope to meet you in person one day at one of these conferences or whatever. But you are just, I can tell you are doing God's work. Tell people where they can find you online.
I am on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I just started an Instagram account.
Oh my God! Okay.
But my website is www.clearorganization.biz. And
are you on Facebook? Yeah, you're on Facebook.
I am on Facebook.
Yeah.
I have
Clear Organization
page, and I have a page for my book, Restore Order, Restore Joy.
That's right. That's right. I shared your stuff on there. Yeah, she has a Facebook page. Go there too. I gotta like your Restore Order, Restore Joy book. I won't get your book. The book is called Restore Order, Restore Joy. It's Dorothy Clear. You can find it. Thank you so much for being on the show. You have to come back, of course. We'll pick a topic. You'll come back on another time. And now you're not getting rid of me. Now you're part of my orbit.
Thank you. And yeah, the book is on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.
Perfect. I'm gonna support my fellow author.
It's coming out, and your song too.
And my song. That song is it's kind of crazy. Everything out there. We are both of she and I are living proof that you can do what you set your mind out to, and to stay open to the universe. You never know what's going to come your direction, and it could be wonderful stuff coming your direction. And so I look forward, Dorothy, to see what more you come up with. What's happening in your life?
Thanks for having me, James.
Thank you, Dorothy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. That's Dorothy Clear, and so that's a Clear Organization. She has a book out, like I said. Her book is called Restore Order, Restore Joy. She's a program director at NAPO Pittsburgh chapter, and so she's great. If you want to get in touch with her, and you didn't hear exactly where you can find her, you can contact me at James Lott Jr. and I'll put you in her direction if you need to talk to her about anything, because I want to support that. These are my live episodes from Pittsburgh. I want to thank Dorothy Clear, and I want to thank Vicky DeLaquila, I was crazy for a second, for being on my show. I will post these, and you guys can listen to them. If you learn something out of these, or you guys get something out of them. I love Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll probably do more of these later on in the year when I come back. It's a great town. There are a lot of good organizers here, and I want to talk to all of them if I can. The show, of course, would be nothing without you guys who listen to this and download it on Spreaker.com, JLJ Media. You can find us on iTunes under JLJ Media and under the SOS show. My older shows are on iHeartRadio. So go to Super Organizer Show on iHeartRadio, and they're there also. And my Facebook page, of course, is the SOS show on Twitter, the SOS_show. Show the love, rate, comment, tell me what you think. If there's a topic you want me to talk about or find someone to talk about, let me know. If there's an organizer I should be talking to, let me know. They have on my show. And if you want to be on my show, let me know. Doesn't matter where you are. You can be anywhere in the country. You can, as long as you have a phone, you can call in. I would love to have you on the show. I'm James Lott Jr., and I'll talk to you next time.